Okay, now that we know how to create variables, how to initialize them, and how to use them within a string, using the variables within our previous code should be very easy, and I'll show you why. First of all, I'm going to uncomment these statements because Python is ignoring them now. And to do that, you can manually just remove the hash in front of the lines, or just highlight the lines that you want to uncomment and press Ctrl and /. Now this is done. If you look at the code here, you can see the first part of this function is actually a string. So it's a sequence of characters enclosed by 2 quotation marks. Therefore, if we want to replace this with the value that's stored in this variable, we have to do it the same way that we did it in our print statement. So, all we have to do here is we have to close the quotation marks, the strings, and we have to append or put our variable in the middle of the string like so. So it's very similar to the way that we're using it in here in this print statement. Again, we have to do it in this line. And same for this line. And that's it. Now, whenever Python runs, it's going to replace interface here with the value that we initialize it to in here. One more thing that we need to do is use the newMac. So I actually modified this code in the previous lecture to show you the difference of using the variable inside and outside the quotation marks. So I'll just fix this here. And we also need to use it in here. And again, all we have to do is just append the code in here. So I'm removing the mac that's hard-coded within the string. And then I'm going to append the newMac to the string. So, as you can see now, we're actually using the same concept that we used when we were using the variable within the print statement. And that's why I was saying it's very useful to get into the habit of printing your variables and using the print function. Also, sometimes it's a good idea if you're running system commands like this, maybe you can just print this right here. So you can just copy this and use it in a print statement and make sure that your command is being interpreted by Python the way that you want it to look like. So I'm going to save this and let's run our code and see what happens. So my current MAC address ends with 66, as you can see here. And if we run our program, you can see it's giving us a nice print statement. And then if we do if config lan 0, you'll see the MAC address has changed to 77. Now, what's really handy with using the variables is, let's say you want to change the MAC address of a different interface, not for lan 0. You would have had to change the value in all of the commands in here. And if you have a bigger code, then you would have had to went and looked for every single time you use that value and change it to the new value. Whereas in our code, let's say I want to change the MAC address of ETH0, which is another interface that I have here. So if I do if config ETH0, you can see its MAC address ends with 77 actually now. So let's change the new MAC and make it end with 88 and run our code. Now if we do if config ETH0 again, as you can see, the MAC address changed to the new value. So instead of going through the whole code and changing the value for lan 0, all we had to do is just change it in here and set that to ETH0. Same goes for changing the new MAC. If you had a big code, you would have had to look which line of this code changed the MAC address. Instead, if you have everything here on the top or in one place, then it's very easy for you to change it and not to worry where this variable is used. All you have to do is just change its value here and then it'll change all over the code.